Hey guys, what's up? It's Shinobi Ranger here, and welcome back to another campaign of our Age of Empires 4 campaign playthrough. And today we shall be starting the third campaign of the single player campaigns, the Mongol Empire, of which we shall be starting the first scenario 1223 at the Battle of the Kalka River. But before we proceed ahead, in case you missed the previous campaign, the 100 Years War, you would be finding the playlist notification popping up in the right top corner of the screen, so do feel free to check it out in case you missed the previous campaign playthrough. Okay, the Battle of the Kalka River. So before I start the video and the gameplay, please do check out the notification popping up anytime now to the documentary video of Kings and Generals channel, the Battle of the Kalka River, and also make sure you subscribe to Kings and Generals channels, both of which would be popping up anytime now or would have shown up on the right top corner of the screen now. In case you missed them out, don't worry, you will find the video link to the documentary video on the Battle of the Kalka River in the video description, along with the channel link to the Kings and Generals channel. Okay, so check them out without fail and subscribe to Kings and Generals channel without fail. Alright, 1223, the Battle of the Kalka River, shock and awe. In 1223, the Mongol army made a thunderous arrival in the west. They would test their tactics and flex their might against an unsuspecting new enemy, the Rus. Let us start. So, we are going to play this on moderate difficulty as usual. Let us start.
From the vast reaches of the Mongolian steppe, an army of over 100,000 men swept aside all resistance, claiming territories that spanned continents. Their leader, Genghis Khan, proclaimed his life's ambition was to unite the world under one empire. Having conquered the East, the Mongols turned their attention to the west, where they would come face to face with some of the greatest armies of medieval Europe. Would Genghis Khan's legendary warriors finally meet their match? By 1221, the Mongols had taken cities throughout Asia, generating vast amounts of tribute from those they conquered. The West, however, was still an untapped resource. Genghis Khan sent his trusted generals, Jebe and Subutai, to attack Europe. With an army of 20,000, Jebe and Subutai took the West by surprise, raiding cities and destroying armies. Within 2 years, they had the prosperous Rus territories in their sights. But in their way was a Rus army of over 40,000 men. Outnumbered, Jebe and Subutai turned and started to head back east. The Rus sensed an easy victory and set off in pursuit of their retreating enemies. For 8 days, the fast-moving Mongols stayed just out of reach. Then, Jebe and Subutai set their trap. They lured the Rus across the Kalka River and turned to fight. The Rus had fallen for one of the Mongols' most effective tactics, the feigned retreat. The stage was set for the Mongol army to test themselves against Europe's finest.
Okay, so this campaign is going to be from the 13th century, the early 13th century to the late 13th century. Starts at the Battle of the Kalka River at 1223 and will end in 1273 at Siege of Shangyang. Alright, now the Mongol army is primarily composed of mounted archers, horse archers, light cavalry. Okay, and these horsemen have been trained since birth. Not exactly trained, trained is not appropriate. It is their way of life. On the Mongolian steppes, you had to be a stout and adept horseman to manage your herds of cattle and horses for pasture because these animals, your livestock, are going to be providing you with your daily needs. Okay, you need to hunt and you need to rear your livestock for you to survive to just eat every day. And also, since it's pasture land and since the Mongols generally maintain huge herds of cattle and livestock alongside their horses, they needed to keep moving constantly. So they would stop at a place where there is an abundant source of food and water, set up their tents, stay there for timing. Once either of the resources are utilized completely and are exhausted, move to another place. Now, because uh, in Mongolia at this point of time, horses and cattle mean wealth, frequent raids occur, and most of these raids, in fact, all these inter-tribal conflicts are always based on horse archers because they have to ride from birth. I mean, as soon as the Mongol boy, the little kid, is able to walk, he's immediately taught to ride a horse. A foal is a young horse. To say the kid of a horse is selected for the boy, and the boy starts to ride immediately, and also to shoot with the bow and arrow. So the Mongols had primarily cavalry based armies, complete cavalry based armies against infantry based armies of the West. Alright? See, because in the West, you need to have you need to breed your horses. Unlike the Mongols whose horses are stouter, far more resilient. They're smaller and shorter, but they're quicker compared to the bred horses. By bred, I mean you have a menagerie or you have a stable. You have dedicated resources to breed horses, war horses specifically. It's going to take a lot. Whereas the Mongolian cavalrymen, they could bring along like every Mongolian cavalryman brought along 5 horses along with him on the campaign while on the move, and whenever the mounts one of his mounts would like, let us say he's riding one of his horses, it gets tired, he just switches the mount. Right, that is one more thing. The mobility of the Mongols and their use of cavalry archers and the tactics used by cavalry archers. The major one being the feigned retreat. So many times an enemy outnumbering the Mongols fell into that feigned retreat where later on they were butchered. It is just a matter of drawing out the enemy to your favorable terrain. Example, flatland. Let us say you have open terrain. Alright, there is an infantry heavy army which is marching behind you and they come to that open terrain. They have fewer cavalrymen than you, whereas all you have are light cavalry archers. As long as you have unlimited stocks of ammunition, you have good stock of arrows, you can kite the lives out of them. I'll tell you that for sure. You can avoid direct hand-to-hand combat and just keep losing arrow after arrow, volley after volley of arrows into the thick mass of humans who cannot break ranks. If they break ranks, you can write them down. You can run them down. They'll be cut down. If they do not break rank, if you do not want to be run down, you have to stay in a tight formation. You have to be very slow moving, and you are this big target for archer fire. And these Mongols, using their powerful composite bows with their thumb draws, are going to be very accurate archers. As long the thing is, in such a body of troops, you don't need to kill everybody there. Even if you incapacitate troops in between, as long as you break up the formation, leave lesser people, like the more casualties you inflict, whether they're out killed outright or injured, as long as they are not able to take part in the battle, it is all that matters. Okay, because a person who's wounded later on after the battle, the Mongols would butcher the wounded, I guess. I'm not sure of this, whether they kill the wounded, but every person who goes down without a fight is every person less available to fight the enemy. So as they advance, they take casualties. First things first, their morale is going to drop. And since they have to go very slowly, they're heavily armored, they cannot go quickly because they risk being trampled to death if they break formation. And slowly, patiently, the Mongols sap the enemy strength up, and when they realize that they're about to break, they enact a charge, and that charge finally cuts down the enemy, and they run them down, and the field is covered with the dead of the enemy. Whereas the Mongols take very few casualties. Okay, the great Mongol tactician General Subutai lured the Rus army to a battle site he had carefully chosen, the banks of the Kalka River. So in this case, the Mongols are outnumbered 2 to 1. Okay, why Kalka River? Because it is a river and you are forcing the Rus armies to cross the river. Granted, they have 40,000 men, but if you let a part of them cross over while the majority of them are still crossing over, you can pin them down with your numbers, with your fewer troops, because those who have reached the opposite bank, I mean the side on which your own army is present, have to fight you, or if they have to fight you, they do not have the numbers. So they need to take up defensive positions and secure ground so that whoever crosses after them, they can also come in, and then slowly they'll start pushing forward. So you need to gain ground, secure it, and then push forward so that you are not in danger of being outnumbered. They cannot charge headlong at you because they are horribly outnumbered. Moreover, they are being shot at. People who are crossing the river are being shot at, while the majority of the armies on the other bank of the river, even if they do support their comrades who cross the river and those who are crossing the river with archer fire or whatever they are able to use as projectiles, the effect is going to be minimum because they are going to be out of range. Or even if they do claim a few kills, those melee troops who are on the other bank where the majority of the enemy army is stationed, they're just waiting there. So it's like a traffic jam. You're slowing them down, cutting them down as they cross the river, and while those who are gathered on your bank of the river are being engaged. As it takes time, as you delay and prolong the battle, not delay the battle, sorry, prolong the battle, slowly the numbers advantage is going to be negated. Many people feel that having only a larger army will help in a battle. Yes, but if you fight on a battlefield of your choosing, the battle is half won then and there itself. It does not matter if you're outnumbered 2 to 1 or 3 to 1. Okay, I'm not saying ridiculous figures. Generally, 2 to 1, at the most 3 to 1. Okay, you still have a very good chance of defeating them provided you play your cards right. You have done half the job correctly. You have pulled the army. You have baited the enemy army into battle on a field of your choosing where you have every advantage. Now it is up to you to use your skill and your head appropriately to ensure that your forces win the day. Okay, enough chit chat. Let us play.
The Mongols charged across the European plains, with the fatigued Rus army in close pursuit. The Rus had fallen for the Mongol tactic of the feigned retreat, and unknowingly followed them into peril. The Mongol general sprung his trap on the enemy scouts. With the Rus scouts cut down, General Subutai crossed the Kalka River. Here, he would stage a full-scale ambush on the vast Rus army. Subutai directed his warriors to split up and lie in wait for the enemy.
Okay. Alright, first, alright, wait. General Subutai, your group 1. Heavy cavalry, group 2. These are Lancers. Okay, what is this? Oh, okay, they're receiving an enhancement. Alright. Light cavalry, group 3. And horse archers are group 4. Okay, Mongol. These are our special units. These are our Mangudai. Okay. Light cavalry goes there. Subutai goes there. Heavy cavalry goes here. What,
For
why?
Subutai's strategy to be effective, he needed to spring his trap before the Rus recovered from their long pursuit.
Alright, let us use our Mangudai cavalry.
He sent his most fearsome Mangudai horse archers to draw the Rus quickly towards the ambush site.
Here we
These
go.
highly skilled warriors could fire their bows rapidly while riding at speed.
Yep, that is true. Now let's look at Subutai's abilities. Maneuver arrow, okay. Movement speed. Attack speed arrow. Ooh, nice. He's himself a ranged. Alright, come on. Let's bait these buffoons. Let us use Parthian tactics on them. Hello! Voila! Hey, chase me, you dumb broads.
The Mongol provocation was effective, and the Rus hastily pursued.
Yeah, what you gonna do? Oh. Hey. As long as oh, come on. Oh, spearmen, come on. Let's bait these fools. Oh, yeah. Come on. What? Do, what you gonna do?
The Rus army had fallen for the feigned retreat and rode straight into the Mongol ambush. With the enemy surrounded, Subutai's battle-ready warriors descended from all sides.
Oh, yeah, shoot. Charge! Headlong advance with spearmen, not good. Cavalry! Advance! No. Oh shit, all my light cavalry are being butchered. Damn. Come on. What are we doing here? Oh yeah, we are slaughtering them. Movement speed buff, quick. Yeah, burn that for all I care. Blah. Oh no. Now you are not gonna do that. Oh yeah. Oh, come on. I hope we have killed enough. Damn, we're taking heavy casualties now. Uh-oh. Ooh. Yeah, archers, can you shades?
The Mongol ambush was devastating, and Rus numbers were reduced to a few desperate stragglers. Seeing the fate of their comrades, the last Rus encircled themselves in a makeshift fort of baggage carts.
Hey, wait, chase them! Yeah, I know that. I've taken heavy casualties, however. Come on, move it quickly. I use attack speed now. I shall use movement speed. Horsemen can stay away. Come on, chase them, chase them! Ooh! Yeah, come on, chase me! Chase me! Slow baby steps. Parthian tactics to the fullest. Horse archers versus foot archers. Not good, but well, we'll kill them all. Yeah, just pin cushion them. Poor fools. Spearmen. Chase me! Chase me! Chase me! Next. What you gonna do next? Once I cut down your archers. Oh yeah, they're being savage, alright. So many dead. Chase me! Chase me! Chase me! Chase me! Whoa, 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 what's going on? Chase me! Ho ho ho! Ho ho ho! Ho ho! Chase me! Chase me if you can! Yeah! Come on, come on, come on, come on! Yay! Ah, poor fools! I'm here! Shoot me! Chase me! Chase me! Aye, let's help them. Come on! Come to die! Whoa! 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 Poor souls. Okay, come on, let's draw them out. Ho 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 ho! Chase me! Oh man! Chase me! Chase me! Don't run away! Run away! Oh, run away! And now, yeah, we're done. They're all dead. Leave with me. Let's destroy their camp.
The Rus stockade fell. Despite a valiant last stand, the remnants of the Rus army were cut down.
Oh, poor souls.
Spurred on by the crushing victory at the Kalka River, the Mongols advanced ever further into the heartland of the Rus.
Oh yeah, we won. Alright, Kalka River was the first test of Mongol warfare against the armies of the West. With the battle won, Europe seemed ripe for the taking. That is the problem, exactly as I stated before. You are not suited for such warfare. You have to be really cautious. If you are facing the Mongol army, you have to be really cautious and careful and try to fight them in places where they cannot outmaneuver you and where the terrain is on your advantage. Right? It takes a lot of discipline to not charge forward when you're continuously under fire. The sheer frustration and the perceived the perceived helplessness in just standing still and just taking those arrows is any soldiery, however good he may be, will break at a certain point of time. But that is the key. You should not break. Somehow it is very difficult. Stay, maintain position, let them lose volleys of arrows at you. Do not chase them. And this chase, the Kalka River, for 8 long days. Imagine infantry and cavalry on the march for 8 long days. These are not Mongol cavalrymen who have been used to surviving on in the wilderness for a long time. They need supplies, they need to rest, they need to recuperate all those the problems faced by sedentary civilizations and their armies. Right, so you are marching with all your equipment, you march for a long time, then you have to cross the river. When you finally reach the enemy, you see them across the river, you cross the river, you've been tired for 8 continuous days of marching, then you have to put on your armor, cross the river, you get wet in the river, your clothes are drenched, you have to make sure your weapons don't get wet. And then as the day progresses, the sun beats down on your head, you get exhausted, you get dehydrated, you get emotionally exhausted, and that is when you start breaking. The army starts breaking and they start running. That is when the greatest massacre is perpetrated. In usually pitched battles, nearly 80 to 90% of the kills came from the aftermath of the battle. When one army would break en masse, the enemy would chase them. So let's say two armies are fighting it out. One army breaks, the other army chases them, pursues them to kill them and take prisoners. That is when most of the slaughter occurs. Okay, not on the battlefield. You don't get too many killed on the battlefield, unless it's of course by archer fire and all that. But most horrifying part of the battle is the aftermath. So once the army is broken, they're running away, they know they're lost. There is no sense of coordination direction. They just run. You have to run to survive. You have to run to save your life. And that is when your enemies go berserk. They just sweep the battlefield and they start cutting them down. Okay, we've seen this shotgun now already. Just would measure. Yeah, that's there. Alright. Drums and arrow signals. Documentary video. Here we go.
In the noise and confusion of battle, communications were vital. One solution was the use of message arrows.
Signal arrows could be used to send messages to your drone troops. Faster than a man, faster than a horse.
It was the quickest way to communicate in the heat of battle. Whistling arrows were blunt, and most importantly, they announced their arrival. But they weren't just used to pass written messages. When shot in a volley, whistling arrows could be loud enough to signal to a small group of warriors, telling them both where and when to attack. On hearing the sound, they would gallop in and strike where the arrows landed. However, a much louder sound was required to sound the retreat or to communicate to the whole army. That was the job of the war drums.
Mongols also used gongs, and the combinations of drums and gongs gave the Mongols a wide array of signaling options.
We do not know the exact rhythms they used, but basic commands could be conveyed with different percussive patterns. They enabled the Mongols to communicate with their own forces and strike fear into the enemy. They were the heartbeat of the Mongol army.
Right. Now, why do you need that exactly is because it is very loud and chaotic on a battlefield. Your men shouting, horses neighing, the sound of weapon on weapon, weapon on shield, weapon cutting through flesh and bone. You have arrows whistling through the air, both the twangs of bowstrings as volleys of arrows are discharged. You have men screaming in pain, die as they lay dying, or those are wounded. So in that huge cacophony, you need to have an effective medium of communication to direct your troops, whether they be withdrawals or supportive maneuvers or calling reserves. Direct your troops. For that purpose, you need to make use of some other mediums such as stated, signal arrows, drums, or in certain cases gongs in East Asia, or generally trumpets, horns, something which could be heard over the insane chaos which is going on. Alright? And therefore signals were developed. So certain pattern of percussion beats on the drums indicated to advance and take up positions. Certain beat sequences indicated advance into battle or retreat from battle, move to the left or to the right, reinforce which end, all those things. And it took a lot of skill on the commander's part to keep his head and have a general sense of direction of what is going on the battlefield. Because it's chaotic, thousands of men and horses on the field. You cannot see if it's maybe 100, 200 men, all right. The battles here are going to thousands, tens of thousands. So you need to direct your forces appropriately. And how do you communicate? Through a medium such as drums and war signals. Even up till the early 19th and 20th centuries, you would have buglers or drummers. During the all right, let's not go take it so far. During the Napoleonic Wars, once units had to march into battle, you have the French infantry or British infantry, whoever has to march to war, to the battle, to the point of contact between the two sides, they would use military bands to coordinate. Every foot regiment or every horse regiment would have musicians as a part of their regiment, such as drummers, or in case of certain Highlander regiments of the British Army, bagpipers, flutists. They play a marching tune to keep the soldiers in march and maintain their pace of march. Alright, so this is very important, which has been there from a very long period of time, not just in the medieval age, even in the ancient era. Right, the Romans also had coordinations either through the use of instruments, or you need to use flags or something to indicate your army to coordinate them. Raising certain flags, for example, certain coded flags could be raised to indicate the request of reinforcements. For example, if you are requiring cavalry to move out to the flanks, you use banners and huge flags to direct them. Right? Communication is very, very important on that chaotic battlefield, and sometimes it could win you the battle. Right? Okay, that was fun. Right. Let's go back to the main menu. Yes. Okay, so the Hundred Years' War was from 1351 to 1450, roughly 100 years, whereas the Mongols cover the early to late 13th century. So we start at the Battle of the Kalka River and we end at the 1273 siege of Shangyang. Okay, anyways, that's all for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked the video, then leave a like. If you did not like the video, then leave a dislike. Share, comment and subscribe, and make sure you hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any new videos when they are released. Until the next video, this is Shinobi Ranger signing out. Bye!